So, if you're watching this, you've probably already heard the news. Nintendo has officially come out and announced that Charles Martinet, the longtime voice actor for Mario and several others in the Mario cast, will in fact be stepping away from voicing his characters. This was speculated for a little while after the last Nintendo Direct, mostly because the voice clips in the trailers for games like Mario Bros. Wonder and WarioWare seemed a little off compared to what we've been used to for decades now, but yesterday, at the time of this recording, our suspicions were confirmed. This is something I knew we'd see happen at some point, but I definitely didn't expect it to happen so soon. I mean, Martinet is getting a little older. He's 67 now, and he's been playing Mario for 32 years, so it's not completely unusual that he would choose now to retire, but I guess I always had in mind that Martinet would have one last grand hurrah as Mario in a mainline game before riding off into the sunset. And assuming this change is effective immediately, the last game he would have lent his voice to is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Not a bad game by any means, but just a little odd for it to be his final outing as Mario after such a long series of games. Then again, his first role was Mario Teaches Typing, so maybe it was always meant to be this way.
These are my boys! Hey!
At the time of this recording, the video they've mentioned with Charles Martinet and Shigeru Miyamoto talking about this together isn't out yet, and when we do get that, it might explain things in a bit more detail. I don't want to spend too much time speculating about the nature of the decision today, though I do find it hard to believe that this was a one-sided choice on Nintendo's part, because Martinet hasn't skipped a beat voicing any of these characters for 32 years, and they have no real reason to let him go. They've been very consistent with him for decades now. Plus, they said they're keeping him on as an ambassador for the character, so even though I'm not sure at the moment exactly what that means, I'm assuming he'll still be involved in some capacity with how the character is portrayed going forward. But regardless of the motivations behind the decision, I really just wanted to take some time today to acknowledge just how much of an impact this man has had on me personally, as well as multiple generations worth of players, and appreciate the legacy he's leaving behind as we all move into this new chapter. I've been playing Mario games since I was around 4 or 5 years old. I grew up with the series and have been completely in love with it for years, and Martinet has been there voicing the characters since the moment I was introduced to the games. Even the original NES and SNES games that didn't originally have voice acting at all were accompanied by voice clips of Martinet playing the characters when I played them for the first time because I played them on the Game Boy Advance. Mario's positive attitude and unrelenting optimism was infectious, and though many people over the years have seen Mario as something of a blank slate in terms of character traits, that's always been something that I've strongly disagreed with. In so many of the games, whether it's the main series, the RPGs, the sports games, etc., the combination of Mario's animations and Martinet's performance has always given him so much character and charm as he reacts and responds to the world around him. Yes, he's brave and positive above all else, but in dire circumstances, he's also been capable of anger and sadness, and even though he doesn't usually speak full sentences, I feel like Nintendo and Martinet have built a solid idea of who Mario actually is as a person. Whenever Martinet has gotten the chance to speak full sentences as these characters, it's always been a treat, but he's always been great at conveying so much about each character's personality through relatively minimal voice performances. It's clear that he's always cared deeply for these characters, and he's been putting everything he has into bringing them to life for so many years now. Outside of Mario specifically, Luigi's Mansion 3 and WarioWare Gold are two recent cases where I feel like he's truly gotten the chance to shine.
Oh ho ho ho! Oh yeah! Ha ha! Oh, I'm broke. At least I got this gold thing. It'll really spruce up my place. Yeah, another high score. I'm the best. It's pizza time. Oh yeah, no money.
They showcase just how much energy and charm he's continued to bring to these characters, even all these years later, and it does bum me out to know that we'll never get to see him voice Waluigi in a main series game or a character-focused spin-off now that he's stepping away. I've always responded to Martinet's performance as a lifelong Mario fan, and many other fans have too, but I think it's also important to note that his influence extends far beyond the core group of Nintendo fans. People of all ages and backgrounds, even if they don't play the games very often, know and love Mario, and Charles Martinet is a major reason these characters have become so iconic and have endured as long as they have. Even people who almost never pick up a controller will play a round of Mario Party or Mario Kart with friends at a party or quote one of Mario's famous lines from time to time, and Martinet's voice has had an impact on each and every one of those people. The reach of his work and the legacy he's leaving behind cannot be overstated. It's definitely hard to imagine anyone but Martinet behind the mic, but if the Mario Bros. Wonder trailer is any indication, I think we'll be in good hands. Earlier this year, I attended a convention where Martinet and his Mario co-stars held a panel, and during the questions portion of that panel, one of the audience members asked Martinet what he would look for in a potential successor. And he said that it was most important for a potential new actor to capture the spirit of the characters above all else, rather than just being a one-to-one sound-alike. Little did we know that he was probably actually preparing to pass the torch at that same moment in time. Given that there was a debate going on for months about whether Mario in the Wonder trailer was actually Charles Martinet or not, I don't think we have much to worry about in terms of the character sounding off. But even if some differences will take some getting used to, I have confidence that Martinet and Nintendo will continue to do justice to these characters and make sure whoever picks up the reins carries on the same level of energy and care that Martinet always gave to Mario and company. And outside of his voice work, Charles Martinet has always promoted positivity and gratitude in real life as well, and I'm glad he'll be continuing to do that. I've been lucky enough to meet him at a handful of conventions, and throughout the long hours spent meeting hundreds upon hundreds of fans, I've never seen him without a smile on his face. You'll always find him having fun posting about where he's traveling or spotlighting cosplayers on Instagram, and no matter how many times he tells the story of how he got the role of Mario, the excitement and gratitude he has about getting to play the character is always front and center. And speaking of that story, I think that's one of the most remarkable things about Martinet in his career. He was just barely able to make that audition all those years ago. He was the last person they were seeing for the day. And now, 32 years later, Mario is one of the most iconic fictional characters of all time, and you absolutely cannot think about Mario without thinking of Martinet's performance. I truly believe that there was no one better to pioneer the early days of Mario's characterization or to carry him forward for as long as Charles Martinet has. Playing Mario games changed my life as a kid, and the series remains a huge passion of mine, and the love I have for those characters I largely owe to Charles Martinet. So Charles, thank you for crashing that audition all those years ago. I'm glad to say that I know this isn't the last we'll see of you by a long shot, but it's safe to say that nothing would have ever been the same without you.
Ah. Welcome! Welcome, New Galaxy!